There was a time when cookbooks didn't just teach recipes, they taught survival, flavor, ingenuity. These books lived on kitchen counters, their pages splattered with sauce and softened by flour-dusted fingers. And tucked between the lines were secrets, not just for making food, but for making do, for stretching ingredients, for transforming the humble into the unforgettable. Today, those secrets are mostly forgotten, replaced by apps, takeout, and boxed shortcuts. But if you flip back through the brittle pages of those old books, you'll find tricks that made meals work harder, taste better, and feed more for less. Here are 15 of them. They're not just clever, they're genius. 1. Keep your bacon grease. It's liquid gold. Old cookbooks never said discard bacon grease, they said save it. After frying bacon, the leftover fat was poured into a tin or jar and kept right by the stove. This wasn't waste, it was flavor insurance. Beans, greens, cornbread, gravies, even fried eggs all benefited from a spoonful of this smoky, rich magic. In families where meat was a luxury, this grease stretched its flavor into every meal. It made basic dishes taste hearty, warm, and indulgent. Bacon grease was the difference between something to eat and something worth remembering. And more than that, it lasted. One morning's breakfast became next week's beans. It brought a smoky comfort to everything it touched. Today we toss bacon fat like it's trash. Back then, it was treasure in a coffee can. 2. Mock apple pie, no apples required. Sounds like a prank, but it worked. During the Great Depression and wartime rationing, apples weren't always available. So cooks got creative. They used Ritz crackers, lemon juice, sugar, cinnamon, and a little cream of tartar to fake the flavor and texture of baked apples. Baked inside a flaky crust, the result looked, smelled, and tasted shockingly like apple pie. It wasn't just resourceful, it was theater. The joy came from both the taste and the surprise. Guests couldn't believe they'd just eaten crackers for dessert. And in a way, it was about dignity. Even when cupboards were bare, people still wanted to serve something warm and beautiful. A trick pie might not feed the body like stew, but it fed the spirit. 3. Oatmeal in your meatloaf. Old school meatloaf wasn't just beef. It was beef stretched with oats, breadcrumbs, or crushed crackers. A splash of milk, a cracked egg, a handful of chopped onions. These were the binders. But the oats, they were the magic. They held in moisture, soaked up flavor, and let 1 pound of meat feed a whole family. You didn't taste the filler. You tasted dinner. Filling, satisfying, stick-to-your-ribs kind of dinner. It wasn't fancy, but on cold nights, a warm slice with mashed potatoes meant everything. It reminded folks that flavor doesn't come from price tags. It comes from care. 4th, stovetop boiled cake batter. Before microwaves and food processors, cakes came together in a saucepan. You boiled butter, cocoa, sugar, and water, then stirred in flour and eggs right off the heat. The result was a glossy, thick batter that baked into a moist, dense cake. These cakes weren't fluffy, they were rich. They held up in school lunches, church potlucks, and family reunions. Chocolate, spice, or even coffee cakes started on the stovetop. It was fast, required fewer dishes, and made dessert feel special without any mixer in sight. And best of all, these cakes got better with age. Day 2, day 3, still delicious. That mattered in homes where nothing got wasted. 5. Baking soda in beans. Old cookbooks told you to soak your beans, but if you wanted them extra creamy and less gassy, they had one more tip. Add a pinch of baking soda. It softened the skins, sped up cooking, and made the final dish smoother. No pressure cooker required, just patience, a pot, and a teaspoon of old wisdom. And in a world before Tums and Beano, this trick kept dinner from coming back to haunt you. 6. Homemade buttermilk in minutes. Didn't have buttermilk? No problem. Add a tablespoon of vinegar or lemon juice to a cup of regular milk. Wait 10 minutes, boom, buttermilk. It was the acid that mattered, to activate baking soda, give biscuits their tang, and make pancakes fluffier. This trick saved recipes and trips to the store every single week. And if you didn't even have milk, old-timers reached for sour cream, yogurt, or even water, plus a touch of vinegar. Where there's a will, there's a buttermilk. 7. Vinegar to save spoiled milk. Speaking of milk, If yours was almost gone sour, don't toss it. Old cookbooks advised adding a pinch of baking soda to extend its life. A splash of vinegar or lemon could intentionally sour it into buttermilk. Waste not, want not. These tricks were the difference between baking and skipping. Sour milk wasn't spoiled, it was a different ingredient. Pancakes, biscuits, muffins, all better with a little tang. It's the kind of thing that came with experience, not expiration dates. 8. Potato pancakes from leftover mash. Cold mashed potatoes? Add a little flour, an egg, maybe some cheese or onion. Fry them up. Boom! Crispy golden potato pancakes. They showed up at breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and nobody ever guessed they started as leftovers. In some kitchens, leftover mashed potatoes were the base for rolls. In others, they became soup thickeners. But fried in a pan? That was the best. Crunchy edges, soft centers, the kind of thing that disappeared fast. 9. Salt-soaked onions. Raw onions can be harsh, but a quick soak in cold salt water mellowed the bite. It made them sweet, crisp, and perfect for potato salad, coleslaw, or sandwiches. This wasn't about showing off. It was about making simple food taste right. Some even added a pinch of sugar to balance them further, just enough to soften the edge without losing the flavor. A tiny trick that made a big difference. 10. Save cereal crumbs for coating. Cornflake crumbs were never trash. They were crispy golden coating for chicken or pork chops. Crushed fine, maybe with a bit of paprika, they turned baked meat into something that tasted fried. It was crunch without grease, cheap, easy, delicious. And it wasn't just cornflakes. Old bread, crackers, even pretzels got smashed into coatings. The point wasn't waste, it was resourcefulness, and it tasted like genius. 11. Sugar cube and tomato sauce. Canned tomatoes can be too acidic. A cube of sugar fixed it. Just one. No measuring, no guessing. It balanced the flavor without making it sweet. This was how tomato sauces went from tinny to grandma's secret recipe. If you didn't have cubes, a spoonful did the trick, or a grated carrot. Sweetness wasn't the goal, balance was. 12. Ice cube on cheesecloth to remove grease. Too much oil floating on your soup? Wrap an ice cube in cheesecloth or a paper towel. Skim it across the top. The cold fat clings to the cloth. Quick fix, no skimming spoon required. You didn't need fancy tools, just clever hands and a little patience. 13. Bread to soften brown sugar. Brown sugar turns to rock. Drop a slice of bread in the container. The sugar draws in the moisture overnight and softens back to normal. It was a pantry trick passed down from someone who'd wrestled with sugar bricks more than once. And if you were in a hurry, a damp paper towel in a sealed bag worked in hours. But bread? That was the old school way. 14. Salt plus oil equals cast iron cleaner. Skip the soap. Pour coarse salt and a bit of oil into your hot cast iron. Scrub with a rag or paper towel. The salt lifts stuck-on bits. The oil keeps it seasoned. Clean, seasoned, and ready for the next round. This wasn't just cleaning, it was preserving. Cast iron got better with age if you treated it right, and these tricks kept it going for generations. 15. Ice water plus lemon equals crisp lettuce. Wilted lettuce? Ice bath with a splash of lemon juice? In 10 minutes, you've got crisp greens again. This saved more salads than most people knew. It's the kind of thing you don't learn from a recipe. You learn it from someone who's been there, who's watched lettuce perk back to life and smiled at the small victory. These tricks weren't flashy. They were quiet kitchen habits, born of need, kept alive by memory, passed down from hands to hands, not through blogs or reels, but through watching, doing, tasting. And maybe that's the point. Cooking isn't just about feeding people. It's about caring, remembering, making something real with what you have. So go ahead, try one of these. Open up an old cookbook. There's magic in those pages. And the food? Still as good as you remember. Because in every trick, there's a story. In every dish, a little bit of the past. Let's keep that alive, one meal at a time.